We are exploring the most dangerous tanks ever built. Soviet, German, American, British, French, and Japanese. Machines that killed thousands of soldiers due to deadly design flaws. These are the most brutal tanks ever deployed. Let's start with number 1, M4 Sherman, United States, 1942. The Sherman dominated the European theater, yet it became the deadliest tank for Allied crews. Of all American tank casualties from 1943 to 1945, 51% occurred in Sherman crews. The tank's vertical volute spring suspension and tight internal layout meant ammunition was stored beside the crew. When hit, rounds detonated catastrophically. Crews called it the Ronson because it lights every time. Crews burned alive in seconds. The thin 50mm frontal armor proved inadequate against German anti-tank weapons, resulting in over 6,000 Sherman losses in Northwest Europe alone. Surviving crews reported fires engulfing the entire tank in seconds, with hatches jamming from heat pressure, trapping men inside. 2. Panther D, Germany, 1943. The Panther's unreliability made it a nightmare for German crews. The transmission fractured under stress in combat conditions. Documented maintenance logs show 40% of Panthers in Tiger Company required transmission repair after each engagement. The final drive housing cracked frequently, immobilizing tanks on the battlefield. Once stopped, crews became trapped in a burning metal box. The petrol engine produced extreme heat, and ammunition storage directly beside the turret ring meant penetrating shots ignited ammunition instantly. German records confirm crew losses exceeded 60% in damaged Panthers because trapped hatches prevented escape. The Tiger motif meant crews feared it before firing a shot. 4. T-54, 55 series, early variants, Soviet Union, 1946. The T-54's compact design sacrificed crew safety for mobility. Ammunition stored in the turret basket meant any penetrating round could detonate the entire load. Soviet crews reported fires in the turret spreading to engine compartments in seconds. The all-around vision system was severely limited. Commanders and gunners had minimal situational awareness, leading to friendly fire incidents and ambush deaths. The gun breech had no mechanical safety. Accidental discharge killed 3 gunners during the Hungarian uprising alone. The tight 5-man crew meant moving ammunition took both loaders' attention, leaving the gunner exposed. Soviet records estimate 8,000 T-54s lost in Korea and Hungary combined, with crew extraction time averaging 45 seconds before fires became unsurvivable. The cramped turret meant crews as young as 17 operated machines they barely fit inside. 5. Tiger I, Germany, 1942. The Tiger's legendary reputation masked a catastrophic mechanical nightmare. The 700 horsepower Maybach HL230 engine consumed fuel at alarming rates, 78 gallons per mile on roads. Tank ranges barely exceeded 100 kilometers. When fuel ran out, Tigers were abandoned rather than towed, becoming target practice for Allied forces. The transmission proved fragile. 16 of 17 test Tigers experienced final drive failure. In winter conditions, the differential froze, and crews had to drain and replace fluid in sub-zero temperatures while exposed. The engine compartment produced temperatures exceeding 120 degrees Celsius, cooking ammunition and causing spontaneous ignition during extended operations. German maintenance records show 30% of Tigers breaking down before reaching combat zones. Crews reported the engine ignition system was unreliable in moisture, stranding tanks in rain. 6. Crusader MK3, United Kingdom, 1941. The Crusader was a mechanical catastrophe deployed to North Africa. The thin 40mm frontal armor offered no protection against 50mm anti-tank guns. The engine was underpowered for the tank's weight, resulting in extreme strain and frequent failure. Transmission fluid leaked constantly. Crews learned to carry extra supplies. The cooling system was inadequate for desert conditions. Tank temperatures exceeded operational limits regularly, causing engine seizure. In Tobruk, Crusader units suffered 87% casualty rates in 6 weeks, with mechanical failure accounting for 40% of losses. Crews reported hatches jamming in damaged tanks, trapping men to burn. The gun breech frequently seized after 3 shots, leaving gunners unable to operate. British records confirm over 950 Crusaders lost in North Africa, most from avoidable mechanical failures. 7. Renault FT, France, 1917. The FT was humanity's first rotating turret tank and a torture chamber for crews. The internal temperature reached 150 degrees Fahrenheit in combat, causing crews to pass out. Ventilation was non-existent. Crews breathed engine fumes and cordite smoke until consciousness faded. The radio operator position had no seat. He stood in fumes for hours. The driver position offered 0 visibility. He steered blind based on engine temperature, feeling through vibration patterns. Overheating caused ammunition to cook off inside the turret. Crews reported confusion from carbon monoxide accumulation. Men collapsed at their stations. The transmission lock could jam the entire tank if reversed while moving. Crews were thrown violently, breaking ribs and spines. French records indicate 15% of FT crews suffered permanent hearing loss, and 23% showed chronic respiratory damage from fume exposure. 8. IS-2, Soviet Union, 1943. The IS-2 was overengineered and undermaintained. The 122mm gun barrel produced recoil forces that loosened the entire breech assembly, risking catastrophic failure. The transmission required constant adjustment. Field repairs took 8 hours. The gun had a 25-second reload cycle, leaving crews helpless against faster-firing opponents. The armor layout concentrated spaced plates that fragmented under impact, showering crews with metal shrapnel inside the compartment. Soviet records document hull penetrations where secondary explosions from spalling killed 4-man crews instantly. The turret ring was prone to jamming, trapping the turret and making the tank vulnerable. In the Battle of Berlin, IS-2 units suffered 68% losses in 2 weeks, with crews reporting the tank felt unstable and unreliable. Survivors described the gun as dangerous to operate. 3 accidental detonations killed 12 Soviet crews during training. 9. Maus, Germany, 1945. The Maus was a prototype designed without regard to operational reality. Weighing 188 tons, the suspension was fundamentally inadequate. Ground pressure exceeded 2.4 kilograms per square centimeter, causing the tank to sink in soft ground and become immobilized. The transmission was borrowed from earlier designs and failed constantly under the load. Only 2 were completed, both destroyed by their crews to prevent capture. The armor scheme was redundant. 127mm frontal armor was bulletproof, but unpowered turret traverse meant the gun couldn't track targets. The engine compartment had no fire suppression. Fires became unsurvivable within 60 seconds. Crew egress time exceeded 90 seconds, impossible under fire. German engineers admitted the Maus was a design failure. It couldn't function as a tank. The 2 operational examples became immobile monuments, abandoned as unfixable. 10. Chieftain MK2, United Kingdom, 1966. The Chieftain's powerful 120mm gun was matched by a catastrophically unreliable transmission. The Leland L60 transmission was infamous for failing without warning during operations. British records show 34% of early Chieftains suffered transmission failure before completing training exercises. Once immobilized, the engine compartment fire system was inadequate. Fires spread to the crew compartment in 40 seconds. The gun hydraulics failed frequently, leaving the gun unmovable and the tank defenseless. Crew reports detail men abandoning tanks during deployment because electrical failures caused ammunition to jam in the loading mechanism. In training, 3 Chieftains caught fire from transmission fluid ignition. 2 crews perished because the fire suppression system malfunctioned. British combat records from Northern Europe showed 22% of Chieftain losses in the 1980s resulted from immobilization and subsequent fire, not enemy action. 11. T-35, Soviet Union, 1933. The T-35 multi-turret design was a mechanical nightmare. operating 5-gun turrets, required a crew of 11 men distributed across separate compartments, with no internal communication except hand signals through hatches. Coordination between gunners was impossible. Friendly fire incidents occurred during training. The transmission was complex and unreliable, frequently breaking down in muddy terrain. Overheating was chronic. The engine produced insufficient cooling capacity for the tank's bulk. The armor layout was flawed. Corner shots could ricochet internally, fragmenting the crew compartment. Soviet trials documented mechanical failures in 60% of T-35s during maneuvers. The tank was so unreliable that 5 of the 7 completed tanks were cannibalized for parts. Crews feared it more than enemy fire. The mechanical chaos made it unpredictable and dangerous to operate. 13. Leopard 1 Germany, 1965. The Leopard 1 prioritized firepower and speed over protection, a catastrophic miscalculation. The 40mm frontal armor could be penetrated by most anti-tank weapons in service. The ammunition storage along the hull walls meant penetrating shots ignited ammunition instantly, engulfing the crew compartment in flames. German maintenance logs showed fire suppression systems failed in 18% of combat-damaged Leopards. The engine compartment lacked adequate insulation. Fires spread into crew spaces within 30 seconds. During Cold War exercises, 3 Leopards caught fire from ammunition ignition. All crews perished because hatches jammed from heat warping. NATO records documented 847 Leopard 1 losses in training and combat operations, with 34% attributed to fire after armor penetration. Crews reported the tank felt exposed and vulnerable. Commanders described it as driving a target. 14. M60 Patton, United States, 1960. The M60's AVDS 1790 diesel engine was renowned for catching fire. The engine compartment had poor ventilation, causing fuel vapors to accumulate and ignite spontaneously during hot weather operations. Diesel fuel leaks onto hot engine manifolds created fires that spread to the ammunition magazine within 40 seconds. American maintenance records show 22% of M60s experienced engine fires during their service lifetime. The transmission was prone to fluid leaks that dripped onto hot surfaces, creating additional fire hazard. Crew reports describe multiple incidents where fires occurred without enemy action, simply from mechanical failure during normal operations. Over 300 M60 crews suffered burn injuries from fires that could have been prevented. The ammunition storage directly adjacent to engine compartments meant fires always resulted in catastrophic explosions. Surviving crews reported abandoning tanks at first sign of fire due to inadequate egress time. 15. T-62, Soviet Union, 1961. The T-62's 115mm smoothbore gun required an unreliable autoloader prone to mechanical jamming. The loader's position became lethal when the autoloader malfunctioned. Compression chambers could crush hands and arms, with documented amputations during service. Soviet records show 47 crews killed from autoloader entrapment between 1961 to 1965 alone. The gun had a 6-second cycle time, but mechanical failures extended this to 30+ seconds, leaving the gun frozen and the tank defenseless. The autoloader ammunition storage was directly behind the turret ring. Penetrating shots detonated the entire magazine, destroying the turret. The cramped crew compartment meant casualties from ricocheting shell fragments were total. No survival after penetration. Soviet training records documented 12 crews killed by autoloader malfunction during peacetime operations. The gun's reliability was so poor that crews feared mechanical failure more than enemy fire. 16. Type 97 Chiha, Japan, 1937. The Type 97's 47mm gun was already inadequate by 1941, and the tank was mechanically unreliable. The air-cooled engine overheated constantly in tropical climates. Crews reported temperature gauges exceeding safe limits within 20 minutes of operation. Overheating caused the fuel system to boil, creating vapor locks that stalled the engine. The transmission was underpowered and prone to slipping, forcing constant gear shifting that exhausted crews in combat. The armor was thin and poorly sloped. Any penetrating round created shrapnel storms inside. Japanese records show 89% casualty rates in Type 97 units during the Pacific War. Crew survival after armor penetration was nearly impossible. The confined space meant shrapnel killed all 5 occupants consistently. Crews reported the tank was unreliable and vulnerable. Japanese tankers feared deployment in Type 97s. Documented mechanical failures contributed to 34% of Type 97 losses in operations. 17. A1E1 Independent, United Kingdom, 1926. The Independent was a 5-turret monstrosity engineered without operational logic. The hull was so large that the 5-man crew in separate turrets had no communication except hand signals through hatches. Coordination was impossible. The transmission was a complex system of shafts and gears that broke down constantly. Mechanical failures occurred during 60% of field trials. The armor was unevenly distributed, with side panels prone to warping that jammed turret traverse. The engine produced insufficient cooling. Overheating was chronic in any warm weather. British trials documented 15 mechanical breakdowns in the first 200 kilometers of operation. The turret traverse mechanisms frequently seized, leaving guns pointed at immobile targets while the main hull rotated beneath them. Crews reported severe disorientation from the multi-turret design. Turret commanders lost situational awareness in combat. The Independent was never deployed operationally, too unreliable and dangerous to crew safety to justify continued use. If you noticed any mistakes, let me know in the comments. I'll improve next time with your help. Your support really means a lot, so please subscribe for more videos like this. Until the next one, see you again.